now we're in. Hi, guys. Sorry, I'm jumping on Liz's stream, and I wanted to share with my audience as well because I am literally learning. We're learning and loving, and
Laura.
and Liz and Laura and Heather and whoever else joins us and teach us the truth and history. But
right?
So, yeah, that's what I like. I like learning. I've always wanted to be, I want to start mushing myself into these live streams where people are learning. And Liz has been going to school and learning all these fun things. And I love learning her perspective of what she's learning as she's going, because not only is it obviously it's information that will be held because somebody important is teaching me or telling it because they've been learning it, but also because I get to learn and it inspires me maybe to also as well go to school and do that for myself. So it's fun to watch.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that was part of the thing. We said we were gonna do fun little learning with Liz and Laura, learning and loving with Liz and Laura.
Right. And don't be an L, Liz and Laura. Don't be a square and be there.
Yeah, don't be a square. Just be a Laura Anderson supporter. LA.
Okay, so we left off at they're marrying off to the land.
But we're gonna now. People are probably wondering where Liz is now telling us what she is learning in history, right? Correct. And can we start from the beginning of just that part of like what you were saying? She's been learning a lot in school, but specifically when I jumped in here, we were talking about what? Go ahead.
The indigenous people, how they were taken off of their thousands and hundreds of thousands of acres of land and moved to a small area. And basically, this small area would be like a parcel of just the smallest land compared to what they used to have. Areas of hunting, gathering, crops. Their families had been there for generations. Everything. They're moved to this other section. And if they refuse to move, they're shot and killed. Like literally just whole villages plowed over. And so I'm reading this and I'm just like, geez, like this happened? And I just keep reading. And it's like, then the gold rush comes and families are offered parcels of land that they can work as slave labor. So just like what's going on in Scientology, slave labor, working the lands, but they don't really own it. Someone else owns it, or they have to get a white person to sponsor them so they can get it. And then if something happens to them, then that white person gets it and they die. And that indigenous person is killed.
Wow.
And it's like, we're learning about all of that. And I'm just like, yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. Wish I'd learned it in school.
I'm surprised. Wait, so you said you're learning about all that, but I'm surprised that they're even teaching that, right, in the schools.
Well, they'll teach that in higher education. Like, I don't remember learning a lot about that besides, like the high points, low points, let's be honest, like the Trail of Tears or things like that, like the big monumental pieces of it, but like the nuance of what was happening and like a lot of the post-Civil War that Liz was going through at the beginning of her class that, I was helping her with. I learned a bunch of things that I was never taught, just about sneaky ways that politicians, they would put out these laws to make everyone equal, but then they would have these little sneaky things behind the scenes that were like, okay, well, maybe not. Maybe we'll do it this way and that way, and we'll agree to it, says the state, if you pull all of your, your people, all of the people that are here trying to reconstruct after the Civil War out of the state. It's just very interesting. It's heartbreaking but interesting. And that's why history is so important. So we can actually learn about these things so we don't repeat the same mistakes over and over and over again.
Yeah. And like psychology, like, okay, so before we go to psychology, because the stuff I'm learning in psychology, how many times, okay, no, we're doing it. How many times did you get told as a kid, get your TRs in?
Almost every day, at
Yeah.
least once or twice or whenever, maybe 5 times in 30 minutes. But it was just part of like, oh, did you grab your keys? Oh, did you get your wallet? Hey, get your TRs in. It was just kind of like, hey, knock it off. Get your TRs
Nonchalantly,
in.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I never really understood what emotions were. Like when I would get angry, I would just be like, I'm doing something to pull it in, up until a couple of years ago. I really felt like I was pulling in this anger. Like I was pulling in all the bad things that had happened. I was somehow pulling it in. And I'm learning in psychology that your environment plays a large portion of what goes on in your brain. Like your environment, the serotonin, the dopamine, all of those, what levels those are at, that's what helps control your emotions and your synapses of your brain. Is all of this combination combined, plus the firing of neurons and electrons and just, and
As you say it, it sounds like I'm like, yeah, like that sounds normal. And then I'm like, oh, wait, no, we never learned that. It sounds normal, but nobody ever taught that. Like, oh,
no,
that would make sense. I'm kind of going, okay, cool, yeah. But then I'm like, oh, wait, nobody ever taught us this. It just makes sense now.
someone,
cool.
So Life After Jehovah's Witness asked, does the tone scale work for some Scientologists? It's a fear device. It's a piece of paper that's more of a fear device. Like if you 1-1 is your homosexual, that means that you're a covert hostility, that you're going to stab someone in the back the first chance you get. Well, let's be realistic, guys. That's just called a sociopath. But, people that'll sit there and stab you in the back for no apparent reason, this tone scale is not real. They're just really shitty people. Just saying, in my opinion.
I also would say that some, they asked, what was it? What was that last question?
Does the tone scale work for some
scale.
Scientologists?
So does the tone scale work? No. For some Scientologists, yes, because they believe and they've all agreed that this is the technology that L. Ron Hubbard says you must follow and apply. And if you don't, so yes, if a Scientologist is seeing another Scientologist and they're like, applying the same thing, it's like, well, Liz, if at this time we're gonna drink this water when you say this word, and then when that word is said, we're both drinking water, we're both acting the same way. So yeah, the Scientologist is the same thing. They're gonna use the tone scale against anybody, up or down. If you want to get them, enthusiastic and get them out of their down tone anger or sadness or whatever it is, they use a certain technique or a certain method.
Yeah. Hey, let me drop off for just a second. I'll be right back. Give me just a minute.
Okay, great.
There was a question.
And so I've been learning, just kidding. Now we'll be able to ask Heather questions.
There's actually 2 questions for you in here. The first one's from Mommers. Laura, can you tell us what happened with the young person you talked to a couple days ago at Big Blue?
So I had seen the older lady that I ended up talking to for a while, who I also, you guys, I'm sure also have seen. Before that, I was watching her, but then I also started while Witch Cher and her were talking a bit, I noticed a little girl was like walking up the sidewalk. And I was like, oh, okay. I kind of just turned my camera off, like just to the front of the blue. And then I know I was on the other side of the street. So I kind of was like, I had this holding this sign that said kids can't consent in yellow and black. And I was just yelling, this is not okay. Let children be children. Stop forcing children how to do their art and how to live and think. Stop making them do training community. And I did this because I saw in the corner of my eye that she had stopped and was just standing there, like staring at me, like kind of listening to what I was saying. So I was just saying whatever I was saying. I just knew, and I started walking. Oh, I went across, where the driveway is. I started walking kind of closer to her. And then as I was walking her, I said, I was like, you don't have to be afraid of me. I was like, hi, how are you? And then she was like, oh, I'm good. I just was wondering if it was okay if I should go in there. And then I was like, I immediately was just like, oh my God, I love you. You're so sweet. I said, no, I was just saying, well, I was born and raised in this. I was doing things your age, like working really hard, being told. I was like, are you doing training routine, and training drills? And she was like, yes. I forget exactly what I said, but I basically was trying to be in her shoes, telling her basically I wasn't trying to scare her. I was like, oh no, I'm not trying to scare you at all. I was like, I love you. You're so sweet. I basically just was like, I don't know what else to say other than, to an 8-year-old or 10-year-old, like, I'm sorry, you have another choice. I was like, I know you don't know that now, but I was your age when I was, in this group, in the organization, and I just felt bad for her. I was like, I was like, I wanted to plant a seed quickly without crossing a line, because her parents are her parents. I'm not her parent. You know what I mean? Like, she is a minor. And then I knew I had moved my camera so she wasn't even on the screen. But so, and I wanted to just genuinely be so sweet to her. Like, hey, as a big sister, like, if your bigger sister was telling you this, like, hey, I know you're probably being told, how to act or what, how to behave and stuff like that, and TRs, and you can't talk about this. And, I said, they changed, I said, once you're in long enough, they're going to start keeping track of everything you're doing, how you're acting, what art you're doing, what songs you want to write, how you write them, who you hang out with, your friends. And I said, it just gets so controlly and you think something's wrong with you. Anyways, so in the end, I was just kind of basically like, you can go in. I'm like, you have to go in because your dad or your mom, I was like, your mom or your dad is probably in there, making you do this. And then she said, she was like, yeah. And then I was like, okay, well, at least And then I just kind of didn't want to say too much or scare her with too much information either. And so, and then I saw her come out later with her dad. And that was very annoying and triggering. And I told them, I was like, it's okay to listen to what I said and to not follow all the Scientology rules and to be yourself and like what you like and
love who you want to love.
And then I said, I think to the dad, I think I said, like, you need to be aware of what you're doing to your daughter. I was in this, like, my father's in there. He won't, like, I forget what I said, but it was very emotional. I was emotional. And like I said, it's emotional, but then it becomes therapeutic. It's like therapeutic, emotional, therapeutic.
Kelly says, I think that conversation will prove later to have a huge influence in her life. Hard shit to navigate, Laura. You did it really well. The older woman is probably a lost cause, but that kiddo, crazy.
Yeah,
right.
You probably just literally gave her a memory that showed that we're not these evil people that they want to say that we are. Yeah, we're literally the product of what they made us.
Yeah, and she was like looking at me in the eye, and I was like, "It's okay." And I was like, "You know what? Go do." I was like, "You exactly, Fox." I was like, go. I was like, you have to go do your thing, but I was like, at least though, like, just be aware of it. I said, you're gonna have to follow the rules until you're old enough, but just I don't even know what I said. I just felt so bad.
Yeah.
I just was like, this is the fuck how they're doing it.
Right.
This is what child trafficking is. The parents get involved. The parents are doing this and they don't realize it, because how great is it if your parent is in the organization on course, and guess what? Doesn't have to get a babysitter or anything, because he's also doing, and look, now he's talking to mom better, even though you were fighting and things like that, like the dad then is lying to the mom that, they've gotten a divorce from recently, and is saying, oh, we're going to communication. Just tell your mom we're going to communication classes. And like, oh, good, you're learning how to communicate. Oh, cool. Like, so it's not a big deal. So even the mother doesn't really know. It's always a covert way of the parent being very covert to the kid, to the child, hiding things specifically from them, knowing exactly what direction their whole life is going in.
Yeah.
You don't separate like, oh, okay, I'm just going to be a Scientologist for 1 week of the year. No, this is not your fucking choice. No,
it's who you are all entirely. It's an all or nothing kind of thing. And it wasn't until I realized that I was doing that, I was justifying that I was able to walk away. I was justifying the shit that I went through, or the shit that I'd seen or experienced, or maybe the cans didn't catch that I was the gay. The
cans were going to catch him?
Yeah, because don't you remember this? Well, I don't know if every org has a sec check.
No, they definitely do. No, I'm kidding. I was just being funny, meaning like the cans were going to come out and catch the gay out of you.
Yeah.
I keep telling her, Laura, she was never a practicing gay. She's always been a professional gay.
Oh, yeah. I was listening to you talk about that. That shit happened all the time. Like, it's somehow it in the moment. It's so fucking weird. But in the end, if you're, quote, gay, right, they hold this over you the whole time you're going up the bridge, right? Just imagine, like, okay, you're allowed to go off and be sort of whatever gay, but, when you're coming in to do a course, you're not completely clear. So it's they kind of allow the gayness, but like they just say it's aberrated, but once you learn that it's aberrated, then you'll start working on it. So, but we'll allow you in while you're doing the basics, because you kind of just don't really know exactly. Because if you did know, you would stop because it's so aberrated.
Yeah.
And so it really just makes me so fucking annoyed, because there were so many people who were like not actively gay. What do you call it? Or not
practicing.
Yeah, not practicing gayness. Or you're not like that would mean you're not having thoughts about, you're not practicing
you had the
way.
Thoughts, but you had to go write up your OWs in your own room, in your journal, and then sit there and be
not
like,
a journal. It was over,
but word it correctly. I called it a journal. I wrote my overts and withholds in my journal. I would do them on myself when I felt like I wasn't doing them.
An event.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. In the journal. I guess that did become the norm. It would be like, oh, if I'm writing bad things, I might as well just write the overts.
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy.
I would get old school books and do school during the summer, and I thought I was crazy, but that's pretty.
What do you mean you would school?
I love school so much. When I was in elementary school, I would they would like throw away like the old books that they weren't using. I would take one of each home.
Oh,
and I would like literally read through the book and do the schoolwork.
Wow. I kind of like that. I think I had something like that when I found like a easy to do like a multiplication thing for kids or something. I was like, oh, let's see if I can do this.
Hey. Yeah. Hold on.
And now Liz is actually doing it.
Melody Hargrove. Question, Liz, has the study techniques you learned in Scientology helped you now in school? No, because I realized that the study techniques were all BS. So proud of you for going after your dreams. A lot of it is just look up your word. Like if it's literally someone else created the study tech. Let's be realistic, guys. This isn't Scientology. You know, this was stolen from a group of people that were actually working on trying to, you know, tell you to look up a word. You know, it's not it he didn't copyright the dictionary. Okay, I promise. He didn't copyright the dictionary. He just had his own dictionary that we had to follow.
Yeah, the tech dictionary, the ethics dictionary.
Yep. And those were our compasses to live by. And that's what we had as dictionaries.
Yeah.
So getting a real dictionary by a real company, because was it Thorndike and Bernhardt? I still have that dictionary because let me tell you, it has nothing to do with Scientology. There's not one Scientology word in it, and it's beautiful. And until Karen
why
tells me
would
to
they
Google
let
it.
us use the? I know it was in a policy or something, but I wonder why L. Ron Hubbard let us use Webster Young. You know, the Young Webster's dictionary.
Yeah.
Like, why
I'm curious why he picked that one.
Why was that? Yeah, out of all the non-Scientology dictionaries, he was
The
like,
Webster's?
yeah, the Webster's dictionary was like
that was what we had in Element. That was like the standard like
okay, so
dictionary that
maybe they
everyone
were
would go
trying
to.
to look semi-official. So they were like, okay, well, I guess this is the one that has all the actual words of the English language, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Which no, there wouldn't be. Just the younger words. Just the basics.
And
even the basics, we were like, we're going to the big dictionary.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to the Webster's, not the Young Webster's, the Webster's dictionary.
Remember when you actually had to go to an encyclopedia? My grandparents here in this house had a huge encyclopedia, and whenever I had to do schoolwork and I didn't want to go to a library, I would just come over here and use their encyclopedia before the internet.
Do you think learning is something like gene wise? Like it's, do you think that it's a brain or a biology thing, like within the genes of a family, that there are smarter or people that hold more information or something?
I don't
And
think
it can like run through the family line or something?
I honestly think it's just you have to find something that you're passionate to learn about. And then even if let's say your IQ isn't the highest, if you're passionate about something, you will know it inside and out. Yeah. And you will search for the information. But
I think there's specifically something though that some people specifically have, like I think yourself, where you are passionate, of course, about your information, but like you also search and adventure out and find things that give you that passion to find out what that thing is about.
Yeah, I've
so
always
constantly reading and learning.
I've always gone down rabbit holes, but as I've gotten older, it's hilarious trying to see Liz and I, who both did advanced math at a younger age than normal. So we were good at math when we were young, trying to remember algebra 2 like 20 something years later. It's hilarious because what? Like, when have I ever had to use this in the last 20 years? Are you kidding me?
I definitely never got that far. So I was like, well, there you go, Liz. Boom.
But
and it literally looks like gibberish.
Well, I feel like do you know what algebra 1 is? I don't know what that is. I don't think I do.
Algebra 1 is just like basic, it's just pretty much basic arithmetic and formulas when you're trying to solve for variables. So like x equals 2y plus 4.
Wait, seriously, I'm sorry, Heather. I heard solubles and then I started looking at Liz.
That's
my brain. I was like, stop wasting her time. My brain is really not listening. There was I must have gone by 5 misunderstood words. And this isn't helping either.
Yeah,
like Liz. Where do you begin? Like what happened to like 4 plus 4 and 5? You know what I mean?
right? It's no longer that. It now has letters. No, it's always had letters. But it's basically we have to get down the closest to X. We have to solve for Y. You have to be able to graph it so
X
you can put it on a
meaning
graph.
10?
No,
No,
X
X,
meaning, go ahead.
whatever it is. So like 4 plus 5 equals X. You would solve it as 4 plus 5 is 9. So that way you know that X equals 9 because they equal each other on either side of the equal sign. But
So
then
X
it gets
is a guess to figure out what it is.
right.
Yep.
And what were all the other numbers?
Different variables. You have to figure out what they are.
Oh,
And it
God.
gets harder and harder.
So it's
Yep.
just you're just finding ways to learn the basic thing more complicated.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Pretty much.
I hope that's helpful in the future.
It has been so far. I mean, it definitely taught me I needed a tutor for math. And it literally taught me that, you know, I am loving psychology. I'm loving sign language. Like I'm trying to get faster at it. I'm trying to understand it a lot more. So that's fun. So I'm learning about history and things that we should have learned about the proper way. Like, no, people weren't just taken off their land. They were assassinated, you know. Then you have, you know, industries used to have, another part is industries used to have like 100 people building engines. Okay. So let's say it was General Motors. So there would be 100 different people, each of them building one individual motor. Okay. And so each of those people would turn in a motor at the end of the day. And so they went from making 100 motors a day to assigning tasks for each of those 100 people and building the motor so that they can put out 1,000 a day.
Wow.
And so then it kept expanding, and then people became less when they started inventing machines that could do a lot of these jobs. And so advancements in society has made huge impacts and changes.
But yeah, that's so cool. And I always feel like, don't you think there's always, you know, we always say, oh, we're going to run out of jobs, but somebody has to run all the machines and the robots and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A computer like that has someone like Pearl behind it.
Yeah.
Well, it would be someone like Pearl designing an algorithm, and that algorithm then controls the computer, which tells the machines what to build and when to stop. And so now it's all math. And sometimes the math doesn't math in my head, and I'm trying to make it math.
And that helps you.
It helps me understand what we've been through, because when people sit there and tell me, you know, we're just repeating history. Look at, we're mass deportations.
No, I mean in terms of math. In terms of math.
Like, in terms of math, it wasn't mathing originally. That's why I got a tutor.
No, I mean like in terms of what would math help you like in the future with?
With chemistry, it'll help me with the chemical formulas in nursing school.
Okay.
Also medication levels when you have to deliver certain medications to patients.
Yeah.
You have to know math wise, like the body weighs this much. This is the medication that it says for this body type, for this weight, for this blood pressure.
Good.
And then you have to understand why the machine is selecting certain things.
Yeah. Cool.
So.
Wow.
I would get anything Miss Pearl would create. Same.
Right?
But like, you know, I see the thing with me in school was like I loved math and science because it was always like a puzzle that I needed to figure out the pattern. And like once I figured out the puzzle, I was like, aha, I get it, you know. And then history was just a really big book. It was like a huge story. And that's how I always like looked at it, was like the people that lived it were characters but you know, as you get older, you realize that there were a lot of pages missing out of the history that we were taught, a lot of chapters. And that's what you learn once you get to college, is those missing chapters, and then you become even more appalled. But I've been trying to learn Korean for the better part of a year and a half, and I do not know why I cannot wrap my brain around any of it. It's just eluding me completely.
It's similar to algebra. An L means this, and this line means this and that, but you can't say all of this unless it's actually about this type of situation. Then you say,
Yep.
Nahudama.
Well, Korean's even harder because it's not just learning one language, because there's different levels of like politeness that you have to
That's
learn.
the sign language it is. So I knew there was a sign language community. Okay. But did you know that there's ethics inside of not Scientology. There's ethics inside sign language, like certain mannerisms, like spelling certain things. You can spell your name, but it's like impolite to spell out words that you don't remember the sign to, unless it's like one word. It's considered disrespectful if you're just signing the whole time.
Wow.
I apologize
and then there's
for my past disrespect.
I'm the same way. When I found that out, I was like, oh, I didn't know. You know how many times I've spelled out words like when I've met people, because I'm just like, oh, I know the alphabet. I know how to count. I can tell you how much change you're getting.
Yeah.
Oh, someone is saying, Laura, it's OT 420 time.
I'm learning and loving and smoking my ganja.
It's Friday, everybody. It is Friday.
I wouldn't care what fucking day it was.
True. So how was your day?
My day was busy. It was long but busy, but I handled it very well.
Good.
I was a little disappointed with some results, but with court and stuff, but I thought, you know what? Like, this is one of the smallest of our problems. You know what I mean? And then I also was thinking, like, come on, one day you would, like, I was thinking, would we rather have had Josiah win? And I was like, I would have rather had Josiah win. So I don't know. I feel like there's a win always, and we can always move forward in the right direction. Things happen, and we just got to keep moving forward.
Yeah, because I know Pearl is excited to show her discovery, and that's what she was waiting for her court stuff to end so that she could show her discovery.
Yeah, I wanna hear all about that.
Right? I want to hear about all the videos that were taken and all the shit that was being said.
Yeah, it's really amazing to see what kind of crap Scientology pulls. The phone calls, you start hearing their attitudes of how they're talking to certain people and the cops and you know what I mean? And it's like so nice to be like, this makes sense now. This is why they came out like this. Or, oh, this is why they were trying to say I was aggressive, or they were trying to instigate me to do something, anything at all. So, yeah, it's really refreshing to basically pull the fucking little criminal behaviors of these people who repeat the same actions over. And you're sitting there like protesting, like, come on, this is nobody else but fucking Scientology or somebody in Scientology doing this. So it's very nice it feels that, it's just like learning history. Scientology is like when you protesting Scientology in any way, shape, or form, talking about it on the computer, being out there, however it is, right? Protesting Scientology is like when we're filling in the blanks, it's like we're finally like, oh my God, there's so-and-so. Okay, there's still a Scientologist. Oh my God, I saw my dad. Okay, he ignored me. Now I know he won't look when you know what I mean? Like, you at least are getting answers from things that you would have never gotten had you never fucking done anything.
Right.
And the whole community is always at certain points, certain pockets, inspiring and helping us, or helping you, or helping us, or helping me when I feel like, oh, I don't need it, or, and then when I'm energized up, I can help other people. Like it just feels like there's always a balance of somebody to help somebody, and helping is not an issue. It's just being genuine and being like straightforward with what you want and what you need. And then also just reciprocating, like, oh, okay, this is how certain people feel about this. What's going on, Liz? You're getting the wobbly eyes.
I'm getting the
Like,
wobbly
the
eyes.
dogs are coming in. I heard the dogs
No,
coming in.
yeah, the dog just came in. Come here, Smokey. Say hi.
I was gonna say too, you know, I've heard a lot lately about how everyone needs to be a protester and an activist from some people. And I'm not a protester. I'm a supporter. Like the channel Cultology is there to help highlight people that maybe don't have
also, I don't know who said that, but that's completely fucking false. Like, you don't need a protest at all if you don't want to, and your actions is already protesting Scientology. Like, what do people call protesting? It's so judgmental and fucking rude when you're literally saying what somebody's doing wrong or right about protesting,
right?
And you're not doing it yourself. Like, go out and do it, or go be behind the computer and do it, and shut the fuck up. Like, I'm so sick of that. Like everybody protesting is your energy against your resistance against Scientology. That is protesting. Holding a sign outside is protesting. Being behind a computer and getting legal documents done is protesting.
And where my talent is trying to get the word out for some people for support, trying to make a safe space for people to take kind of a woosa break and have fun playing games, and doing all like the visual, like the audio visual and designs and stuff to help support the people that I care about in the community. And that's how I support and help. And yeah.
And not only that, Heather, this sounds silly, but when you play the games, we learn things. And sometimes it's fun to just learn something quickly through a fun game instead of having to go, oh, I didn't go to school. Can you explain that? It's so annoying. So then you have to privately go Google it and take the time to learn it when you're just doing it right there in a game. Why not? And the channel supports the, protesting and the anti-Scientology movement. So it's like, great, good. Fuck yeah.
Thanks, Laura.
And you have a live tomorrow.
I do. We have game night on a Saturday night. I'm so excited.
So Liz, they put you when you go to school, when you're going to school, do they already kind of like, you would know, like a tip or a program? Do they show you all the things you're going to be learning?
So in the classes, you get a syllabus, and in that syllabus, it tells you. So the syllabus is like a list of projects that are due, the due date, how many points you're getting for that project, and again, when it's due. It says it right, clear as day.
Yeah.
And then you just go through and you read those chapters. And so that's how I was learning all the stuff about the indigenous people. That's how I was learning so much about emotions aren't just a tone scale, or aren't just you making emotions up or making feelings up. They're literally a firing of serotonin, dopamine, your environment, and everything else that goes together with your serotonin and all that good stuff.
I love it. I feel very strong. I mean, you started off with the native stuff, and I feel very strong to the native people. I feel very much I can't tell people this. I've said this a lot in my previous, even my beginning stories of YouTube, where my mother told me I was part Native Indian, Canadian Native Indian. And I was like, excuse me? I just felt so fucking annoyed that my mom, I always get emotional. But I was like, what? I was so like brokenhearted that she just, what the fuck? What else don't I know about myself? Like, I just couldn't believe that and the way that she told me was, we were sitting down at this like old school freaking diner downtown. Everybody knows what it is, but I don't care what it is. I forget what it's called right now. But she was like, oh, let's go there. So we go, And I had this long feather, this metal feather. It was like a metal chain with a feather in the end, and then like peacock, like not peacock, but blonde peacock feathers. And she said, "Oh yeah," she was like being so sweet. I always feel like, was that manipulation or was that love? But she was being very sweet and like playing like with my hair, and she's like, "Oh, you look so cute in your dark eyebrows and your feather." And she said, "Just like your native great grandfather." And then as she was correcting herself, she was like, "Wait, it would be your great." And I was like, "Mom," I was like, "What do you mean?" She was like, "Yeah, she was like, "So I'm 1/8, or if I'm a 1/4, that would mean you're 1/8." And like, she was like, I was just like, everything she was doing, I was just like, why didn't I ever know about this? How do you know math? What are you talking about when you say 1/4, 1/8? What the hell? I've never heard my mom speak in math like as if she had some degree in math. And I realized, oh, she did go to school. Like, there was just so many things where I was just like, I didn't know that innate, like that people had high cheekbones and dark eyebrows. I didn't know these features. Like, it was just like, oh, this is like, and then she showed me a picture later before I got declared an SP. She showed me a picture. I have it somewhere, an old photo of my great grandfather. And he's pure, like, native Canadian Indian. Pretty badass. And I just cried. I was like, this is silly, but I was like, that's where I get my cheekbone. We have these high, big cheekbones here and our big, bushy, dark eyebrows. And just the
I'm like, I got like little stuff.
No, but it was so empty. My heart felt so empty of like something that should have been full. And it made me aware of how empty that part of my heart was. You know? Hi.
Hey, Tom.
I have to jump off to help finish getting everything back to normal after the Teddy Poo explosion.
Okay. Love you.
But I'll be on the back starring when I can. I love you both. Okay. I love everyone in the chat. Bye.
Bye.
But like other thing, Carrie has this ability to be able to confront something and want the truth. And the courage that she has to do that, it makes me want to question so much of the things that we were told as kids. Like, I want to know, like, is that a burn from the fire pit, or is that because your thumb went through my side, or is it why did I have to get a skin graft, And then at the same time, it's like, I'm in such a good place emotionally. I don't care why the little scars happen and the big scars happen. I just care that we do better moving forward.
Yeah. And then, well, I feel a little bit that way with if the person that was part of the abuse or whatever is actually just moving forward in the direction of doing something to fix them, like to do something for themselves, to be better as a person for themselves. If I don't see that in somebody, I can't give them any energy.
Yeah.
I feel like if you're not going to get it, then never will anything like this work. You have to be getting, I don't know. Yeah, that's just how it is for me. I feel like you have to get what the thing that was being done wasn't okay, why it wasn't okay, how much involvement you had or didn't have in it, who was hiding shit, things like that. And that makes things, I feel like, heal or be better when you can actually just, because it makes other people go, okay, it answers that, it fills in that like void. It doesn't make somebody go, oh yeah, they were such a great person, oh, but over here they were also fucking treating me like shit. You know what I mean? Like, if you're open on both ends, like, yeah, when I was at this post, I was a bitch to everybody and da 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 da, and I wasn't allowed to as part of the policies. And here at this, I don't know, it's accountability and just being transparent. I feel like there should never, ever, there never needs to be a reason of like not being clear, especially about something that was just our casual work or schedule, you know, as crimes. Inside,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like inside of the sea.
Well, it's like now I had seen my mom the other day. I talked to her for a little bit and she was hurting, and Carrie let me know that my mom was hurting. And Carrie was really worried. And I was like, I just see my mom. It's okay. But then all of a sudden, Carrie's worry made me worried. Right. And so I went to go check on my mom, and she was just sleeping. And all I could think of is she's not that person anymore. And I need to let that go. I need to stop holding that against her. She's not that person anymore. And I stood there for a second, and then I walked back into the room, and I meant to tell Carrie, but then we started talking about something else. And it was like, it doesn't matter why that happened. I don't need an answer as to why, but the fact that she supports me now. That. I mean, she supports me in taking a psychology class, but she's like, just know it's like bullshit.
I can't even fathom how I see it, but I'm just like, I don't understand how how she goes about her day, other than the fact that, yes, I do believe that psychiatry overdose, like they definitely overprescribe and all that. So it's like they have this excuse which all of a sudden makes it 100% correct.
Yeah, it makes everything that was ever said.
That brainwashed view, I guess I just can't see them like, but don't you, like somebody like your mother who it was, like you said, so into science, don't you like follow it all the way through and then you realize, well, it's kind of bullshit. This is kind of a money scheme. It's a good one, but it's kind of
I tried to tell her about Xenu, and that just turned into a catastrophe.
What's your mom's OT level again?
She's clear.
She's clear.
Yeah.
Wow. She's not even OT.
But I tried to tell her about Xenu, and she was like, you're just listening to black PR propaganda. And all I could do was laugh because I'm so grateful that I didn't get to the Xenu believing in phase. You know,
are you sure you don't like, at work, here and there every once in a while being like, what if I'm wrong about all of this? And they're right.
Well, to be honest, have I thought about that? Yeah. But then at the same time, then people tell me the world's not flat. And I go, oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's round.
I know.
It's not
also
just
okay to have different views and ideas.
Yeah. And it's like, and we all have different life experiences. We all, I have someone that helps me deal with emotions when I honestly was an angry person. Like when I was angry, and people ask me, why I don't drink. And it's because I got angry and I did something that went against all my moral compass and treated Carrie like garbage and put a hole in the wall like a child, and have no memory of it because I'm also on antidepressants. But I know it happened, and I know that there was fear in her eyes. And so I'll never touch another drink again, because for me, I didn't know how to process emotions, and I process all my emotions now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not the person that I was. I'm becoming the person that I've always dreamed of being.
Yeah.
That if someone said, help me, I'm going to hit them with kindness. I'm going to hit them with who I really am. And yes, I was brought up in Scientology, but I am not a Scientologist.
I got a PhD in Scientology, but I know nothing about science or technology.
That's right. Carrie told me the other day because I was
little vape. I'll be right back.
Okay, so everybody, I was using my phone the other day and I was talking to Heather or Pearl on FaceTime, and I was trying to show them the laundry room was all cleaned up and show them all that. And Carrie's like, why don't you push the button that shows what you're seeing on camera? And I was like, what? And she had to show me that there's a button that turns my camera around while I'm on FaceTime.
Oh, yeah. Well, see, we learn every day.
Yep. I know that I honestly didn't know how to operate quite a few things in my phone. And now that college is online, I'm having to operate a lot more websites, get to know a lot more things, find out that tutoring was not going to cost anything, but books are ridiculous now. But then at the same time, you have something where you can actually hold it in your hand and you can go back and forth through it and say, oh, okay, I don't get this. I get this. I don't get this. I get this.
I can't believe it. It feels so strange. Wow.
It's my history book.
Wow.
I'm loving it. I'm loving learning about it.
I love that. Doesn't it feel good to put it on the shelf and be like, I'm reading that?
Mm-hmm.
Like your actual books are actual meaningful.
Yeah, but it's still funny because I was looking something up in the dictionary the other day, and Carrie goes, why don't you use Google? And I'm like, because the answer is in the dictionary. And she's like, the answer is also on Google. And I'm like,
it is a visual. I'm a visual person. So like if I see it, I'll remember it forever. It's like my brain connects a visual and then I can remember it. Do you think it's something where like digital is like electric? So if it's not paper and ink, then your brain doesn't grasp it as well? I don't know. Just because of the way that we were so separated from electronics and digital internet and all that and computers. I don't know.
Yeah, it was, you don't realize, like, I can perform on a DOS menu. I know how to do like all the special functions to get it to type, to get it to space. Like, I can do some DOS.
Yeah.
But some of the things that the computers do nowadays, I'm like, okay, it's official. I'm old. I've been out for this long and I haven't taught myself certain things. Like,
have you tried the chat GPT that people were talking about?
Yeah, Pearl recommended the chat GPT. So then I started looking at chat GPT. And if I get stumped on a math problem, it'll show me how to do it.
Is that bad or good?
No, it's good because, again, it'll walk you through it if you ask it to. And so it's like,
you don't have to get like
I don't have to get super stressed out.
Yeah. Waiting while there's 500 other kids needing help.
Yeah, and you're just sitting there like, I don't understand.
Like,
or hey, come check my clay model. I have to go to the bathroom, so I'd really like you to come check my clay model.
Oh my goodness. Oh my God. Flunk.
Right?
Flunk. Oh my God. Just when you think you're going to pass, you're like, oh God, I forgot the overall label. Flunk.
And then it's like flunk, and then you got to start all over, and you're like, okay, here we go.
Holding your hand up, waiting for 20 more minutes until the supervisor. Okay. Oh my God. Well, that's really cool, Liz. That's so cool. So do you feel like, so you're learning, obviously you have a community through many people that help, that you can call up or be like, hey, I need help with this math problem. And they're all smart and they can help. That's really, that in itself is very important.
Absolutely. I mean, the amount of people in the community that don't judge when we say, you know, hey, that I didn't learn that in school, or hey, I didn't know how to read until 4th grade. You know,
Yeah.
I knew how to look up every word in the dictionary, but I didn't know how to read it. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Exactly. And I feel
but
like
I'm really good at manual labor.
yeah. And keeping your TRs in and confronting things and just getting it done.
Yeah.
But I just love that. I feel like it's also allowing us the thing that we never got as a child, and we're giving it to ourselves. Right? I
Yeah,
feel like
having
that's
unconditional love. It's like giving ourselves unconditional love.
but even
And
teaching us something, because we are like, you're learning, you're going to school, you're learning this because you want to learn it. It's not because your mom's like, hey, Liz, I really think you should be going to nursing school.
oh no, because I want to do it. I want to have this future where I can look at Carrie and say, let's take a vacation. You
Yeah.
know, let's, you know, let's do this. I need something better. And it's time that I did this for also me.
Yeah. That's what I mean.
To
It
let me
feels
know I
good.
can do it, because it feels like, although it's only been 5 years, it feels like Scientology was a lifetime ago.
Yeah.
But it's
But
only
then when
been
you
5
talk
years for me.
and when you talk about stuff, though, it feels very up close. It feels very like it didn't happen that long ago, or it's still happening. Yeah. And I wonder if we fill our time with other things like learning new things and all that. By filling it, it doesn't make it so fearful, because we actually have more information to the fear. I feel like fear is like not knowing, or, you know, being afraid of something that might happen that you can't control. But like, if all of a sudden you know and you can control things, you're kind of like, you start to lose that fear a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah. The fear, I'm not willing, because for me, if I don't pass psychology, it's like I feel like Scientology won, if
Oh
that
my
makes sense.
God.
And I'm not willing to let
That's a
that happen.
heavy burden, though. I mean, unless, you know, it's super easy. What if it's like really hard?
It is hard. It is hard, and I love that it's hard.
Yeah.
But it's hard for the right reasons, because I'm actually learning that it's neurons firing. I'm learning that it's your environment. I'm learning that it's also genetics.
Yeah.
You know, I'm learning that it's not just, you know, some bad shit happened and we have to take responsibility for it because we pulled it in. We did something to pull it in.
Yeah.
That's not even true, you know?
Right. Right.
And I'm learning that it's like, it was okay for me to be upset as a kid. It was okay for me to be hurt. It was
Yes.
okay for me to want to see my parents.
Yes.
And it was okay that I didn't learn to read until I was in 4th grade. You
Yeah.
know, and I just happened to be really good at sports.
Yeah.
And that saved my butt many a times, I'm pretty sure. Because right now, I don't know if it's because of the medication I'm on or because of anything else, but I feel like I finally get a fresh start in learning the right ways. And I can't wait till I get to graduate nursing school, and then I, you know, get to stand there in the cap and gown and
Yeah.
get to get a picture with Carrie. I can't wait for that day.
Yeah. And all the knowledge you're going to have.
All of it. Like, I'm going to be able to help people that have been through our situations, like help people that have been abused or been hurt or been mistreated. I'm going to be able to help them. And that to me is the greatest goal.
I love that. That's so good, Liz. I'm so proud of you. I love learning and hearing the little things that even you just tell me. Tonight, I've already learned a lot from you, but I just it's inspiring, not even just to me, but for other people to be like, okay, cool. There's still a possibility that it'll actually not be hard. It'll be adventurous and fun.
Mm-hmm. It's work. Don't get me wrong, because like
I mean, it won't just be hard. It'll be hard, but we can get through that. But it also is fun because we get to have information and we get to learn what we want to learn.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, it is getting late. I know that.
No, that was perfect. You need to go get some beauty sleep for all the learning you've been doing.
Well, actually, I didn't know this was going to be this long. I was hoping, I wouldn't start going in about my childhood, but I'm going to read some of my history, and all my homework is already finished. So now I'm just reading it for fun.
Wow.
So I'm reading ahead for fun.
That's amazing. You're literally doing what Heather was just saying. Like, I used to grab old books and be like, oh, now I'm just doing it because I learned it.
Yeah, I want to learn it. I want to learn what happens next. I want to learn, like, it like, who needs to have some of our memories when I can have memories of, what really happened in the world, so that I can understand better, government, and not, think that they're just a bunch of vultures that are trying to hurt you, even though they kind of are.
But you'll find.
But at the same time,
yeah,
got to find all the key points. So the same way we always start this is the same way that I will end it, and that is also with the amazing Laura FM.
So